Welcome back, everyone. Today, we are going to look at one of the most dramatic and faith-building stories in the Old Testament, 2 Kings 6:8 through 23. It's a passage that's full of tension, miracles, and surprisingly, mercy at the very end. But more than just a story from history, it carries some really powerful lessons for us today. Let's begin by setting the scene. Israel at this time was constantly being attacked by the Arameans, their neighbors to the northeast. The Aramean king would plot surprise attacks, but every single time Israel seemed to know ahead of time. It was like they had a spy inside the king's inner circle. But the truth was far greater. It wasn't a human spy at all. It was God, revealing the enemy's plans through his prophet, Elisha. Imagine how frustrating that must have been for the Aramean king. Every ambush he set up was foiled. Eventually, he was convinced someone in his own camp was betraying him. But his officers told him, "No, my king. It's Elisha, the prophet in Israel. He knows what you say in your bedroom." That's how closely God was revealing things to him. So, the king sent a huge army to capture just one man. Think about that. A massive force to go after a single prophet. They found out Elisha was in a town called Dothan. By night, they surrounded the whole city. The next morning, Elisha's servant stepped outside, looked up, and saw the hills covered in enemy soldiers, horses, and chariots. He panicked. "Oh no, my lord! What shall we do?" You can feel his fear. That's exactly how we often feel when life suddenly overwhelms us, when the odds look impossible. But Elisha was calm. He told his servant, "Don't be afraid. Those who are with us are more than those who are with them." Now, if you were the servant, that might not sound very convincing at first. He only saw two of them, Elisha and himself, against an entire army. But then Elisha prayed, "Lord, open his eyes so he may see." And God opened the servant's spiritual eyes. Suddenly, he saw the hills full of horses and chariots of fire, God's heavenly army, surrounding Elisha. What a moment that must have been. From sheer panic to complete awe in just a heartbeat. Then Elisha prayed again. This time, he asked God to strike the enemy soldiers with blindness. And God did. Elisha calmly walked out, told them they were in the wrong place, and led this entire blinded army straight into Samaria, the capital of Israel. Picture that. One prophet leading a whole enemy army right into the stronghold of their enemies. When the king of Israel saw them, he was eager. "Shall I kill them? Shall I kill them, my father?" But Elisha said no. "Do not kill them. Instead, set food and water before them so that they may eat and drink, and then go back to their master." So they prepared a great feast. After the soldiers ate and drank, they were released and returned home. And you know what happened? The raiding stopped. The Arameans no longer sent bands of raiders into Israel. Now let's pause here and think through what this story teaches us. First, it reminds us that nothing is hidden from God. The Aramean king thought his secret war plans were safe, but God knew every word. And God still sees everything today. Our worries, the schemes of others, the things we don't understand. There's comfort in knowing we serve a God who isn't caught off guard. Second, this story shows the difference between fear and faith. The servant saw only the enemy and panicked. Elisha saw God's army and stayed calm. How often do we react like the servant, overwhelmed by the size of the problem, when God wants us to see like Elisha, confident in his power? Fear focuses on the problem. Faith focuses on God's presence. Third, it teaches us about spiritual vision. Elisha prayed, "Open his eyes." Sometimes we need that prayer for ourselves. We see only the bills, the diagnosis, the conflict, the loss. But behind it all, God is at work. If our spiritual eyes were opened, we'd realize we're never alone. God's army surround his people, and that changes everything. Finally, this passage ends in a really surprising way, with mercy. The king of Israel wanted to kill the captured soldiers, but Elisha said no. Feed them, bless them, send them home. And mercy accomplished what violence never could. The raids stopped. Isn't that powerful? Sometimes kindness disarms our enemies more effectively than aggression ever will. Jesus echoed this when he said, "Love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you." Now let's bring this closer to our lives. Maybe you feel surrounded right now, by stress, by enemies at work, by debt, by illness, by fear. Like Elisha's servant, you look out and think, "What shall I do?" The truth is, you're not outnumbered. God has resources, strength, and protection surrounding you, even if you can't see it yet. Ask Him to open your eyes and trust that He's already fighting for you. Or maybe your struggle isn't fear, but conflict. Someone has wronged you and you want to strike back. Remember Elisha's example. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is extend mercy. Feed your enemy, bless them, let God handle the rest. If you love God, please like and subscribe for more Bible stories.